Hey guys, good morning. Volatile 42 here. Riding out early in the morning today. It's a little cold. Not that cold. It's around 17 degrees. But I'm not wearing anything warm. Just a full sleeve shirt. But I like the cold, you know. I think I've talked about it earlier. Although living in Bangalore has made me lose my cold tolerance to quite an extent. You know, there was a time when at 17 I'd be sweating. But anyway, so updates on my bike shopping. Am I buying a new bike at all? And if so, which one? So those of you who have watched my recent videos know that I'm shopping for a new bike, having sold my Harley Sportster some months ago. And I have also kind of shortlisted some bikes and tried them out. And for those of you who are not familiar with what I'm looking for, I'm primarily looking for something which I can use for just about everything. So city rides, commutes, and also for touring, two up with luggage. So initially I tried out the Benelli TRK 502 because that is a somewhat big bike. So well, when I say big bike, you know, I mean literally physically big in dimensions, because that gives you riding comfort. Because I'm used to, you know, riding bigger bikes. I don't mind if they're heavy, because I'm quite used to riding bikes with some weight from my Sportster. These guys, you know, they just ride or drive with high beams on all the time. Just hate them. I just turned my high beams on when I saw him, and he still didn't get the clue. So yeah, so the TRK, a big bike physically, so it would give me good riding comfort for long distances and even for my passenger. And it would also offer me decent carrying capacity. The price was also quite good. But it is a compromise in some ways, because see, I can only afford one bike as of now. So the performance side of the TRK, I'm not so sure if I'd be satisfied with it. It was okay. It wasn't like downright underpowered or anything like that. But it kind of was just about adequate. It did not have any real kick to it. And once you loaded it up with the passenger and some luggage, I'm not sure how it would be, because when I test rode it, I was just riding solo. So it would be a compromise. And then I looked at the Versus 650, and that was quite okay on the performance front. And that was also a similarly sized bike, right? So that side was also fine. But it was significantly more expensive. And so there, that was another compromise. And also the Versus currently, it's a little old. It hasn't been updated in a while, and even the last update was very minor. They just added a gear indicator to the console, and pretty much that was all. Its other sister bikes, the Ninja and the Z650, for example, they have had some minor engine updates. I think mainly to the throttle bodies, which has increased the engine performance somewhat. So I think they had that in 2017 or so. But strangely, that has not trickled down to the Versys yet. And now the Ninja and the Z are getting significant updates in 2020. And there's still no word of any updates for the Versys. So yeah, again, a compromise. And also, like I was saying, it's quite expensive. So it would cost me significantly more than the TRK for just the bike. And for less than that price, I could get a fully loaded TRK with luggage and everything. So there was that. So for the Versys, even if I did not get the luggage immediately, because I don't need all of the luggage immediately. I just need a top box for my rain gear and tools and stuff, because those are the things I like to have all the time when I'm riding, even in the city. So for the Versys, I would still need some add-ons like crash bars and a sump guard and so on, because the crash bars are really important, guys. On the Versys, you have the fairing on both sides with absolutely no protection. So if you drop it, it's going to be a really expensive replacement of the fairing. So for that reason, the Versys was getting a little out of my reach. So for both of these bikes, the TRK and the Versys, I wasn't really willing to spend that kind of money when I was having to make compromises. Of course, whatever you get, even if you get something 4 times as expensive, you're still making some compromises with something. The cost, for example. Right, so yeah, there's always a compromise. So I was thinking, okay, if I have to make compromises, why not look at something lower down in the price range? That way I could save a good chunk of money and maybe still get most of the things I was looking for. So thanks to one of my subscribers, you know who you are. Thanks for pointing out the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. I tried that out and it was quite good. I mean, I think I have some prejudice towards Royal Enfield. Because I've owned a Bullet before, and the quality was just pathetic. Things would just fall off, you know. And I had electrical problems with that bike right from day one. Although later on those were kind of sorted out. But yeah, there were like endless problems with that bike. So I was kind of prejudiced towards Royal Enfield because of such experiences. And it wasn't just me. I've heard of poor quality issues from others as well with their earlier bikes. But so far, from what I'm hearing, the quality has improved a great deal with these new 650s. So they're almost at par with any other manufacturer. So yeah, of course, I mean, I just had a test ride, so I wouldn't be able to tell much about the real quality, how it is. But everything seemed okay. And the performance was also okay. So yeah, that was a contender, although it wasn't really a big bike. So if I talk about touring, two up with luggage and all that, but that would be somewhat compromised, of course. But like I said, no matter what you do, there's always some compromise. And since most of my riding is not touring, it's mostly commuting and other short day rides, either solo or with a passenger. The touring part of it is actually quite less. It's only maybe once or twice a year that I do such, long distance, multi-day trips. Wow, this place is like messed up even this early in the morning. They don't even let the ambulance go through. So the Interceptor was definitely a contender, but I still wasn't very sure about the quality, at least from India. I was getting some reports of certain issues, some common issues people were having. Wow, man, what do you want? But at the same time, I was also hearing of solutions to those problems. And the good thing, at least in India, with a Royal Enfield is everything is easily available. I mean, replacement parts, and they are so cheap that if you have to replace parts, it doesn't really hurt you so much, And if that solves the problem, it's okay. Well, it's not okay, but it's something you can live with. Another problem with the Interceptor was that it has tube tires, because it's a spoked rim, which is not tubeless compatible. And there are ways around that. You can use some sealants in the tube, which are of course not guaranteed to work every time for all sorts of punctures. Or you could convert the rim to tubeless with an Outex kit, but then you kind of lose some of the advantages of a spoked rim, because if it gets bent, you lose air. It's no longer sealed for a tubeless tire. So that's that. And then I also tried the KTM 390 Duke, and I was quite impressed by the quality and the performance of that bike. I really liked it. And of course, it's not the first time that I was drawn towards that bike. I kind of liked that bike for quite some time, even though I hadn't ridden it before. And that was also the bike I wanted to get when I got my Vespa for city rides mainly. But then at that point of time, I wasn't really in a condition to spend so much money, so I got the Vespa instead. And in a way, for city rides, I think the Vespa is better in many ways. The 390 Duke has some heating issues, so it's not really ideal for very heavy traffic. Those of you who have watched my Harley videos, you know what I'm talking about. Problem with riding at night, in the middle of the night or early in the morning, is it's a free for all. There's absolutely no rules. Look at this bus is stopped pretty much in the middle of the road. So the 390 Duke, yeah, I considered that as well. But although it would be a great bike for solo rides, even somewhat long distances, for two up, I wasn't sure. Didn't seem to have enough space for the passenger, especially if you had a top box. I mean, it was okay. I mean, passenger could sit on that, but say if you were riding for some 6 or 8 hours, I don't think that would be comfortable for either the passenger or the rider. When both of you are kind of cramped up there together in a small amount of space. So, but I still did not, completely get the Duke out of my short list, because, like I said, with everything there's a compromise. So that would be something I would have to compromise on, and again, I don't do that much of touring. I do only very occasionally, and most of my riding is solo and in the city and in nearby areas, short rides for a few hours only. So that way the Duke would be okay. And I really liked the technological advancement of the KTMs as well. The TFT display with a plethora of information, and the throttle by wire, all those technological, superiority. Compared to that, the Royal Enfield is very basic. The only somewhat high-tech thing it has is probably the ABS. That's pretty much all it has, really. Everything else is pretty basic, analog instruments. It has a digital display for the odometer and the trip computers. Well, not sure if I should be calling them trip computers, because they just have 2 trip meters that just show the distance. It doesn't do fuel consumption calculations or anything like that. And even the fuel gauge is reportedly very unreliable. So that's the situation. At times you feel like none of these is really okay. They're all big compromises in some way or the other. So you either spend a good amount of money and end up with some minor compromises, or you spend less, end up with some bigger compromises, or but I am getting quite desperate to get a bike. I have this Vespa, but it's not really satisfying in that way. It doesn't quite replace a proper motorcycle. So, am I getting a bike or not? I probably am. Which one? Actually, I didn't tell you. I kind of decided which one to get as well, and I have initiated the process of getting it. But I'm not going to tell you which one just yet. So bear with me for a few more days. Hopefully sometime next week I'll be getting it, and then of course I'll reveal everything to you. So that's it, guys. The next time I make a vlog. Hopefully it will be on the new bike, so that's something exciting to look forward to for you and also for me. Alright then, that's all I have for today. Bye bye.